welcome to my creative space. So in today's video we shall be customizing some craft papers. So from tea dyed papers to coffee dyed papers, turmeric dyed papers, rice papers, collage, etc. Now before we even get started, I made a stunning discovery last night. As a newbie crafter, I don't have everything I need to get started, and one of the things I would have really loved to have or to get is the distress ink, and I'm going to be ordering that on Temu one of these days. But there's something that happened yesterday and I thought I shared with you all. Guys, I did coffee dyed paper and the coffee actually helped me ink my edges. So even before my distress ink arrives, I already have, you see, my edges are already inked for me, so I don't need to ink them anymore. So these are the edges from the coffee dyed papers. So I don't know if you can really see the edges, but I am so in love with the result. And one thing you want to watch out for is the papers could break easily once they are soaked in the coffee solution. So that's one of the coffee dyed paper. And now let me tell you something fascinating about this paper. This paper was achieved from this paper. So I dyed this paper in coffee solution, and it actually stripped this paper of all its blue line, and the blue ink mixed up with the coffee and gave me this beautiful, I don't know if it's blue or green or brown, but this is looking so vintage and I love it. And I'm loving all the brown creases, and you know, I've not done this, it just happened on its own. I made sure the surface I used for drying was not too smooth, so my surface is a bit rough. That's one other thing you want to watch out for, and that's how I was able to achieve the creases and the brown stains. So just look at those edges. That means I don't have to buy distress inks for now. I could just use coffee for my papers. Of course, I'm just kidding. I need the distress ink for my covers and other, you know. Over here we have the tea dyed papers. Guys, I love this as well. So this is just 2 tea bags in 400 ml of water, and I also love the results. While it is not so strong or rich in color compared to our coffee paper, I love the tea papers as well. Now the tea papers are not inked like the coffee papers, but they are slightly inked if you look carefully. I know you won't be able to see it on camera, but once I use it in the journal, you will see what I am speaking about. We're going to set that aside in this massive jar. Some water. Okay, mix. Smell. Okay, I don't want my paper smelling like carrots, so I'd rather have my paper smelling like cinnamon. Let's get started with our turmeric paper. We're going to stir, get started. Turmeric-Dyed paper. Okay. GSM paper, and it's going into our coffee mix as well. See how nice it's absorbing, how fast, but that means it's going to break really fast. So take it off already and it's ready to be dried. We have more cardstock for coffee. Time for my tea dyed papers. I've gathered my white paper and I am ready to proceed. So into my baking tray, this is the widest working kitchen equipment I have, so I just love to use a little paper. We have the next one. A5s. This is 150 GSM. I used to make journals before. More A5s. Pages. Guys, still on our paper customization or paper making. Right now, I would love to transfer some of these butterflies and some of these flowers onto this paper. So the first thing you want to do is to cut out the shape that you want. So here is an easy way of cutting it, but first you want to separate the plies. The thinner the plies, the better for you. Sometimes it's not easy to get the second ply out, but if you pinch the stuff or if you try to tear it, it might just, separate from each other. And now you can go on to open. We have just the one ply. This brush in some water, and I'm just going to go around what I want, okay? And I'm just going to tear it off. Fly. So I cut this one off myself. So I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. Put it down. Bring this one ply and just gonna go over it, and that thing is down, so it's lying flat for you. That's what you want, that way. Now glue. This one over here, so I'm gonna be adding a lot of glue. Butterfly or whatever it is you are. Is this thing called decoupage or whatever it is you are gluing, the stuff you are gluing down, because that's the only thing holding it. It's going to form a figure. We have our next paper. I'm going to be transferring these bees on this paper onto this map to make it one ply. Just one ply. There it is as well. Now we shall quickly consider hand drawing or painting or writing on our papers. I'm going to zoom in a bit. From kitchen napkin. That's my one ply glue, and this is 2 parts glue and 1 part water, and that's what my consistency look like. So we're making some rice papers I showed you at the start of the. So that's me covering the surface with glue from one side, just to get rid of any air bubbles. So work your way from the middle out, cover with some glue. Kitchen napkin flat and we've not got any vapor. Loose tea leaves rather, for some color. So zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. That to this dot, this one to this one, and dot to dot. So get the first bit down, and the next we're working our way. That's our middle point, and brush it out. Not used to using it. Make sure we have an easy one. I'm just going to go in with my brush and lift this up a little, just to make sure it's not flat when it's dried, so you can peel it off easily. One of the ones that I did, and I didn't lift this up at all, and this stuff glued to the bag, and it has been like a collage of napkin and plastic. Scotland today. So this was made from kitchen napkin, some cloth dyes, some thread, and some loose tea leaves. So we're going to be doing that this afternoon. So without much waste of our time, and that's also just from napkin, some threads, piece of paper, and some that simple one as well. And it's one of my least favorite ones, but maybe when I make something out of it eventually, I might just like it. I'm going to try to do this again, but in a better way. I've got that one. I just love the texture. Be applying some tea leaf. Put some water and glue mix on our surface from one side. Lay it down gently and exactly flat. We did some loose tea leaves on my, so that's what it looks like. And I've got some leftover cloth dye, and I'm going to sprinkle just a little as well, just a little. This is dye for tie-dye, and sure. So that's what our colors look like at the moment. Is it right over here? Okay. And more glue and water mix. Work your way from the middle as fast as you can. And you can see how beautiful that burst of color. Seal your edges so it's easier to take off when you're sunny day in Scotland, but it is windy, so this is where I'm drying my stuff. And that's its close shot side. And remember the first one that we did? That's what it looks like. I have this old map next. I would love to customize it. So the first thing to do, again, I've added some glue on our surface. I'm going to put down my napkin. This is going to form the lower layer of film, if you like. Again, I'm going to just quickly go in with some glue. So I've covered it. I'm going to go in with my tea, with my loose tea again, and place it like that. It's well covered. Working our way from the middle out. Sorry, my microwave is beeping. At the end of our experiment, this is what our tea paper looks like. These sets are both tea papers, but the colors are slightly different. This is darker and this is lighter. Let me take it under the light, maybe we can see better. Once I had dipped this in my tea solution, I put them in my oven and I let them dry at 120 degrees, but just for a few minutes. So you want to look out so you don't burn down your house. So this one, I put them in the oven to dry, but it was just the fan, so it was like air drying it. That's how this came to be. This was also dried in the oven, and I love the result. What the paper looks like initially, and this is what it looks like now. So we've been able to age this paper, and it looks like it's at least 30 years old, I would say. So that's that. Now this one was allowed to air dry. I put them in the sun, and I think I kind of like the result of this. This was also let to air dry in the sun. I love the patterns it has created on its own. I didn't put any effort into this pattern. Those papers came from this paper, so you make your pick. Do you prefer the white ones or the tea dyed ones? Also got another 150 GSM card that I also dipped in our tea solution, and this is what was sun drying this. It was a bit windy outside, so I put some stuff to hold it down, and that just added this pattern. So next time when I'm doing tea dyed papers, I now know what to do. Drying outside, so I love the patterns. Let's look at my absolute favorites, the coffee dyed papers. God, I love them. They look so old, and I have that one. I love this as well. Our coffee dyed papers look good, and I shall be using them in the coming weeks for my journal making. So coffee dyed papers, how cute, and they're also beautiful. I love the results, and I'm going to be using them for a couple of them in my journal already. Carrot and cinnamon dyed paper, and I'm not getting a lot of yellow from my carrots. My carrot actually looked pale, so I'm just going to go ahead to do this, get some of the cinnamon off. But I just hate it. It just looks dirty, and I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. So next time I'm just going to do the carrots without the cinnamon, because I got a little bit of yellow from the carrots. The cinnamon is just, I don't know, too coarse. That's it. I've got our papers from Turmeric. So I was going to say they are one of my least favorites, but I think I'm liking them right now. Clean off the turmeric just a wee bit. I love the yellow. I love the outcome, overall outcome. Now, cleaning off the turmeric a little bit revealed that thing that looks like tiger stripes. But without cleaning it off, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to try to clean it off again to see if we can achieve this. Is it pattern or prints? And we got some of the prints. I don't know if you can see it or it's just me saying it. With even more beautiful patterns. I love the result. And of course, this is the star of the show. This turned out really, really beautiful. I love that pattern. So I'll do more practice so I can remember how I achieved that pattern. That's our turmeric paper. So we have come to the end of, so let's see. Remember we lifted the sides earlier so we can peel off easily. But really, so let's see. Okay, that's our rice paper. I'm hoping you can see every bit of the threads that we put in. I've left this dry overnight and it's almost the moment of truth. So this was made from cloth dye, loose tea bags, and some water and PVA glue solution. So let's see. And that's our paper, and that's the back side. Let's see what it looks like in the light. So we have our last one, the side quickly, which is this side. So let's look at it under the lights. And that's our map. I don't know if we succeeded in making it look old or it just looks nice. So I don't know if you can see the tea leaf